Hi, everyone, and welcome to Authenticity, my video podcast. It's been a minute, hasn't it, ladies, since I've decided to do a video podcast.
We're happy to have you back.
Ah, how's Elaine, Sarah, John? How are you today? Welcome back.
I'm doing
Fabulous.
great.
Glad to be here.
Um, it's helping me ground a little bit. Before we came on, I'm feeling very expanded to come on. But today's topic, and I want to introduce Elaine and Dawn, but my nerves are off the charts. For whatever reason, this solar activity, as you know, has some side effects. So, Elaine, if you would do the pleasure, our high priestess, Lemurian sister, if you'll introduce yourself to everybody that's listening.
Sure. My name's Elaine Marie Rose. If I haven't come into contact with you before, I'm the founder of the Rose Heart Temple Mystery School and a keeper of the Rose Lineage Sacred Union Codes, and also a Lemurian water keeper of the living waters. And I'm really happy to be here with these beautiful sisters today.
Thank you. I'm so honored to have you on my show. Thank you, Elaine, for being here. And Dawn, my sister, my star sister, all the way from the UK. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi everyone, I'm Dawn. I'm the founder of the Heartful Academy. I am a shadow worker and a wild one guide. The main thing that I'm here for is to help you have the best relationship that you can with yourself.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us, Anna.
It's
It's
my
funny
pleasure.
that you should say that you feel so activated during these solar times. I find I go really heavy, like I'm such a Taurus, really, really deep earth, and I get very almost like stationary. And then I find other people like you go higher and higher and higher. So it's like, oh, we're just. So when you say that you're really activated, all I feel like is really like on the earth, like flat.
Oh yeah, no, I'm really expanded and activated, and the higher versions of me want to come through and want me to get on the land and do some um, what am I looking for? Not just grid work, but solar disc. I work with the solar discs, and so it's good for me to get out there. And then I also have my best friend on today. We don't want to forget about Sarah Remer, our local Boise artist. Welcome, Sarah.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be back.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about you and what channeled
Yeah.
art is?
Yeah, so I do light and coded channeled paintings. I work with a lot of the current energies coming in to create visuals and beautiful art to look at to kind of help with some of the themes that are coming in at the time, but they always seem to call to a specific person, whoever resonates with that particular piece. And yeah, I just really love that I get to be creative and do what I love and share that with others. That's it.
Well, thank you for joining us today. Shall we get started on the topic that's dear and near to me? And that is about frequency and vibration and how it is affecting our reality and how it affects everyone's reality. And to kind of take the woohoo out of it and bring it into layman's terms so that the world that is listening either now or on replay can have an understanding of how our thoughts have a vibration at a cellular level. Our body has a frequency, and a hertz about I think it's 5 hertz, and it can vary depending on our mood. Are we in our love and joy? Are we down? Are we angry? All these fluctuate the frequency that we're vibrating. And it has a tendency to attract Well, we would say birds of a feather flock together. So whatever vibration that you, or hertz that you are emitting is the reality and experience that you're experiencing around you. And so I want to start with you, Elaine. How would you explain how frequency and vibration affects your reality?
Sure. Well, I think I want to start by saying that it operates differently depending what dimension you're in.
Mm.
And so the experience of frequency in a third dimensional container, if that's the field that you're carrying, versus a fourth and a fifth and beyond,
Mm-hmm.
is going to look different. And so the law of resonance actually changes when you're from 3D to, so let's just work with 3, 4, and 5 because that's the most relevant for our human experience at the moment. And in 3D, you are in this state of separation consciousness vibrationally, so you are not yourself. There's a layer of you that is hidden from you in the subconscious, unconscious realms. And so what you attract in 3D as a frequency is actually a polarity contrast because
Mm-hmm.
a 3D is a sphere of contrast. And when we move through 4 and into 5, then it becomes a resonance because it's like that buffer zone of 4D. Once it closes into 5D, it becomes this pure like attracts like resonance field. So I think that's a big difference that can be confusing to people. The law of attraction actually flips a little bit. It doesn't, but it appears to flip. And so what comes to us in 3D will often be the distortion or the contrast that we need to see the distortion within us. Whereas
Mm.
as we move closer to 5D, that goes away and it becomes a compressed mirror. The field becomes a mirror of your pure resonance. And so it's like that's what we talk about when time is speeding up, because in 3D, it's like this separation between who you are and who you believe you are. And as you get to 5D, that becomes close. And so there's a real direct time experience when you get into 5D. So if there's peace in your field, you'll see peace immediately. If there's distortion in your field, you'll see that immediately. But in 3D, there can be this kind of fuzz that happens that makes it a little more complicated. So that is, I think, a point of complication and confusion often.
Thank you so much for that explanation, Elaine. And I'm looking at my cell phone to see who's watching at the moment. Not everybody understands that there's different dimensions. There's not everybody that understands mirroring. Not everybody understands what you're explaining. So that's why I wanted to do the show.
Sure.
Because at a level of vibration and frequency that I may be emitting, everything that is responding in my reality is immediate, like you said. So there is no shield, Dawn, right? If I can't hide from my thoughts. So what I speak and what I'm thinking have to be a match.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, the world is responding to what my unconscious and conscious mind is feeling. And so what you were saying, that in the 3D and 4D, there's more of a delay and a shield. So you can say, oh gosh, Dawn, you're so pretty. I really love what you're doing with your hair and your house. But in your mind, you may be saying, ugh, and like projecting something else.
Exactly.
What's true about frequency and vibration is that the person that you're in communication with is feeding the thought frequency, not the words that you're speaking. So there's a delay and a buffer in which we call karma, or the feedback for your actions, and that your thoughts and your words were not meeting, you weren't being intentful or truthful in what I was speaking. And so that is the difference between what Elaine just explained. And I hope that makes sense to those who are listening or understanding what I'm trying to explain, is that I'm losing my thought. So just like Sarah, I'm going to bring you in on this because we talked about mirroring all the time. And Sarah right now is in her level of embodiment where she is completely content as single and in her own space, and is in a place of her journey where she doesn't want to date. And I'm saying a little bit more than maybe you want other people to
Oh
know,
no,
but
that's
talk
share.
about marrying all the
I'm very
time. And go ahead.
yeah. I the mirroring is so interesting to me. And when I started noticing that everyone that came into my life was mirroring what I needed to look at, I think that's what pushed me into doing the inner work, where I came to a space where I feel fulfilled within. And so I'm grateful, but it took a lot of painful circumstances to realize that a lot of my self-worth, a lot of my insecurities were being mirrored back to me in relationships. I was having that time and time again. And I was like, oh, another guy who's, you know, this, and this, and he's coming into my life. Why? Oh, because trying to teach me. Right. And I'm so grateful for all of those experiences. But when I started going into that space of really finding that I am so content with me and feeling complete and whole, the relationships that are now in my life are mirroring that back. They're valuing me the way that I've always desired to be valued, but never felt that way about myself. And now that I do feel that within, I am getting that mirror back. And if I tend to go back to some old patterns, I'll get that mirror back really quick as well. So it was interesting what you were saying about the dimensions, Elaine, like the third, fourth, fifth. And I feel like I slip in and out of each on a daily basis. Like I've had days where I'm like, I'm third, fourth, fifth, back down to three. So I don't know if that's like how it works, but it's all the thoughts, the thinking, or how I'm responding to things, it comes back to me so quickly. And it's made me have to pay attention or recenter, reground, go back into, that space of, this is all mirrors for me to look at. It has nothing to do with things happening to me. It has nothing to do with like this circumstance happening out of my control or whatever, it's all showing me where I'm at vibrationally. And it is, it's an interesting, journey once you start really, really understanding that, and you're never a victim anymore, which is, I think, the most freeing thing. There's nothing more exhausting than being a victim. And you feel more empowered when you know that you are really creating your experiences in the day and how you interact with the world. I just think it's so beautiful. But that's it for me.
Thank you for that, Sarah.
Thank you.
To be so open and sharing. Dawn, I wanted to bring you in because you and I follow the same circles of information. And so we know that different phases of embodiment and ascension, there's where you look in to different levels of attunement and vibrationally, so that you don't have that step down that Sarah's describing, where she feels like in the same day she's having multiple experiences. So I wanted to bring Dawn in. Dawn, what do you want to say about frequency and vibration?
I want to kind of bring a completely different view on but very, very aligned, right? I think from my perspective, I like to try and find the most practical way to explain some very what seemingly complicated things, or not even complicated, etheric, like I want to know, what does that mean? What are you talking about? Like, what does it mean to be in 3D to 5D? That makes no sense. Like, is it a different place? Am I leaving my home to go somewhere else? Like, what are you talking about? So the way that I think about it is 3D for me is that we have our armor, and I see our emotional, mental armor as a box. And the box is keeping the truth of who we are, the core, the essence, the authentic part of us safe. We learnt to do that as children. We learnt to keep that core part of ourselves under protection. And the box is part of our karma, it's part of our shadow, it's part of our inner child, it's part of getting to know ourselves, it's part of integration. It's also the filter through which we see other people and other information from other people when we're mirroring. It comes through the flavor of the box and what we do with that. So to me, 3D is our relationship to our own armor. And 5D is our relationship to the heart inside of the box, which is I call it your wild one, your truest version, the most easeful and familiar at some level part of you. And the aim is to integrate the box into the heart, the learning, the wisdom, the understanding, the experiences. And you learn, and that's what I feel is embodiment, wisdom, understanding, expansion, is when we take all of the things that we're learning about ourselves and integrate them. So for me, frequency is a much more tangible experience. It makes a lot more practical sense when you think, okay, well, how I'm showing up today is a factor of how my box is feeling, my armor is feeling, how I feel within it. Do I feel free and liberated? Am I connected to more of my wild one today, which you could translate as being in your wild one, in your 5D, that kind of thing? Or do I feel constricted? Am I working on some sort of victimization pattern that's coming up? Am I working on like false king of tyranny, dark mother, that kind of stuff? Or just inner child stuff? Like, God, if you just start there, you're onto something, aren't you? Am I working with that kind of stuff? It doesn't really matter. So I like looking at it through that lens because I found in spiritual terms, I got a bit lost within hierarchy. When I started thinking about 3D, 4D, 5D, and higher, then I started thinking, oh, look at me, look where I am. Oh, I'm at 5D. And then I'd have a humbling moment if I felt like I was in 3D or whatever. And so if I frame it like that, then frequency to me is simply, how am I feeling today? And I'll see how I'm feeling, obviously, through the mirroring, through what's coming back to me, without judgment, with compassion, with care, with loving kindness. And so that's how I would explain it.
Thank you. I loved it. Elaine, you wrote something yesterday, I believe. Time's all kind of connected, but it was beautiful. And I want to make sure and get to your post before we end our podcast today, because it was beautifully written. So like when I think of frequency, I think of like when people are tuning their guitar or they play an instrument, right? They want to tune that to a certain hertz or a frequency that they're looking for a specific sound and vibration. We're no different. We are the tuning fork. We're constantly, where are you in this vibratory field, the electric magnetic field? You're sending sound waves and light based on your mood, your feeling, your thoughts. Again, going back to what are you feeling? How are you? And so I don't have any other way than to describe that. You do lock in higher frequency as you go through the ascension process and through your level of awareness and inner work. The more inner work that you do on the trauma, the inner child, the shadow work, all the pain and the things that we held on in the body, the more you clear that vibratory frequency and hertz is higher. And I want to take that back to Elaine, where you want to go from there after hearing all of us.
Oh, I think those are all beautiful ways, and I think it really does require so many different lenses to describe the same thing, because it can sound complex, but it's not hierarchical. It's just understanding how energy changes. And
Mm-hmm.
a dimension is not a place. I think that's the thing that confuses people. A dimension is a field of consciousness. So it's a different
Mm-hmm.
state of consciousness. That's really all dimension means. And it means the higher you go in dimension, there's more light, which means encoded information from the source realm. And the lower you go down in density, there's less light, which is why we can't see ourselves clearly, right? So it's there's no hierarchy, but humans like to hear numbers and think that we're creating hierarchy. What we're doing is just talking about energy. And when we start to understand ourselves as a field of energy, maybe more than we relate to ourselves as a personality, then we start to tune ourselves, like you said, Anna, as the instrument that we actually are. We're a vibratory instrument. And the thoughts are electric and the emotions are magnetic. So it's electromagnetism. And as we raise up the frequency of the thoughts and the emotions, then the whole field starts to float up. Not because it's better, it's just the way energy works. So I think if that's helpful as a way to frame it, thinking of yourself more as a field of consciousness that is energy, then the humans realm tends in polarity likes to plug in spiritual superiority ideas and things like that, but it doesn't have anything to do with that. It really is, as you said, Anna, it's vibration equals vibration. Like, that's at the end of the day everything that we're experiencing in whatever realm we are, because we're multidimensional. So to speak to Sarah, you do fluctuate. That's very normal as you're going through your process. And we don't, you might stay in a more 5D place more often, as you said, but as a contrast comes up, you're still going to drop back down. It's a wave. Like, it's never static. We're always moving as energy. And one day we can have a high energy vibration day, and another day we can have what we might call a low one. So there's taking the good, bad, higher, lower, as in better or lesser than, out of the equation. I think it helps to equalize it and say it's just how energy acts, and we're energy. So how
And
do
that's
we
really,
organize our energy?
yeah, and that's important. And I hope everybody hears that. There is no hierarchy. Spirituality just means you're a spirit having a human experience, right? We're borrowing this body. I want to get into Sarah, mirroring when I met you 3 years ago and where you are today. I love having the contrast of women on my panel today, because we all have a different perspective to bring to the table. And when you're out and about dealing on your daily basis and you feel like it's going back and forth, do you have awareness why it's going back and forth?
Yes. Yes.
What causes the back and forth?
I'm a very emotional person. And when I allow myself to go into my emotion, I can fluctuate where I'm at based on, like, say I am having a good day and then something happens that creates a negative emotion, which I think in turn lowers my vibration, goes and makes me go into my mind. I start overthinking things. I go back to old patterns sometimes. Then immediately I get that reflection back. Um, I like what you said, Elaine, too, where there's no right or wrong. Because I really like sometimes when I'm in those spots, I'll sit in it for a minute because there's a reason it's coming up. Like I went through a situation the other day where I felt like I had dipped really like way down. And instead of trying to like shift myself to pull myself out of it, I allowed myself to stay in it for a while and kind of release and just allow it to happen. Um, I'm still in the process of working through a lot of, just my traumas, my, everything that I call them like false sense, like my false identities. Um, and I got sober from alcohol about 10 years, a little over 10 years ago. And so for many years, I just numbed and I escaped and I didn't want to deal with life. So this last 10 years, it's been learning more and more about myself because when I was in that space, I was wearing a mask or multiple masks. They were interchangeable, but I never really truly knew who I was. Um, so I'm still in the process of uncovering that, and I'm allowing all of the experiences to come in that aren't necessarily what we'd call good experience or positive or high vibe or love. I let things come in and flip me upside down and drag me around for a while because I know that it's purposeful. And I always come out of it knowing and having a little bit more awareness. And I think that's really important that we talk about, how it's okay to like kind of also just allow yourself to be in a bad vibe for a day if that's where you need to be. Because like, I know for me, I need it sometimes in order to work through something that maybe I haven't looked at yet. But I don't know. That's all I have.
Thank you, Sarah. Dawn, our relationship coach.
Yes.
One of my favorite relationship things to talk about is relationship to self.
I mean, Sarah, I really, really resonate with that. My whole life experience has been so far about understanding the shadow, understanding emotions, and being at peace with the good, the bad, the ugly, all of them. Like when you got water up your nose and you like feel like you're drowning, right through to the high vibe and all of the chill in the middle, like all of it to me is so fundamentally important for clearing, for healing, for learning, for living, for just being. And so I love how you expressed that. That was really, yeah, it matters. It matters enormously to be able to allow things just to be as they are and see the sacredness in them in each moment, in each experience. So for me, mirroring is that what you wanted me to share
Sure.
about?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mirroring is something I find both immensely painful and exceptionally funny all in one go because you can't go away from it. Like, I'm 4 years into a relationship now that is just beyond everything I could have imagined. But he has mirrored the core wound that I knew I needed to work on. And luckily, we have the framework and the understanding and the shadow work experience and communication to work through it together and individually, like take ownership for myself. But you can't get away from it. Like there's your mirror, there, right there all day long, every single day. And what are you going to do? You're going to either explode and try and distance yourself, or pretend it's not happening, or like put on your big girl pants and say, all right, this is happening. This is awesome. I'm going to do it, and we're going to work together. And invariably, it gets better as you go through it and get stronger, both of you together and individually, if you've got somebody, a partner willing to do it too. But the same thing happens with my cat. It's not just, it's not just my partner. It's my cat. It's my son. It's my neighbor. It's like, what do you want from me, people? It's all the time. And it's very attractive, the idea of living on your own sometimes. I think I spend a good deal of time doing that. And I'd leave my home and go to the shops and think, oh, I am in a bad mood. Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know until just now. But thank you, cashier, for letting me know that I'm not okay. Um, mirroring to me is invaluable. It's such a good, an important part of our own healing and development and ascension and embodiment, and just to gauge where you're at and use that information. Like, I think of it more like a detective. What am I being shown? Stay curious. Oh, this is a bit rubbish. Let's work on that. Oh my God, I've been triggered out of my eyeballs. What am I going to do about that today? You know? And so that's what I mean. Like, on some levels, this stuff is hardcore, and then on the other side, you've got to find a bit of levity and joy within it because it is so ridiculous sometimes what you get shown. So yeah, mirroring is key, I find.
It's so important. One of the things I tell my clients, and I've said this many a times to you, Sarah, is to allow the world to tell you where you're at. It will tell you exactly how you're doing. I don't know if it's unfortunate or fortunate, but I see it as a blessing because, like Dawn just adequately explained, how it assists us attune back into the center. Elaine, I want to circle back to you, my dear star sister. Your post really touched me, because, awareness level wise, I know exactly what you wrote about is affecting the collective at this time. And so, if you could kind of go over what you posted, because we are coming into sacred season on 12/12, and then we have Christmas on the 25th, and winter solstice, of course, a convergence coming that you speak about. And it happens every year, but this one is very special. They're all very special, but if you would share with us what you wrote, I would love that.
Well, I think the essence was just looking at the arc of the collective movement into a resonance field that's more mirrored with what we talked about as 5D. The divine self is the self that's functioning, and the gap of the not self, which is the stream of those 3 and 4D realms, is starting to close. And there's humanity's, on a huge spectrum of that process, and that's exactly as it's supposed to be. But there, on a collective level, this process began further out, and many think of the harmonic convergence in 1987, which was a massive collective event. And all that means is a lot of individual timelines and time fields, think of them more as fields than lines, decided to converge and agree on the same consensus reality. And then that actually plugged that into the consensus reality. So it upgraded it on a new timeline, as we call it. And we have harmonic convergences often. They're not all the time. That was a huge one. And we're about to have another gigantic one because there's enough humans in their energy fields that have moved back towards remembering who they are. And again, that isn't better or less than, it's just a memory of, oh, I used to think I was that, now I remember I'm this. And that self, as Dawn said, is my heart. That's my true essence. That's who I really am, not all the defensive posturing and misperceptions that I had in the layer of self in 3 or even 4D that wasn't that was based on something different. And so we're coming to sort of what you could call maximum velocity as the energies from outside of Earth and within Earth, as the collective is expanding, are ratcheting up. That frequency is getting faster, as I talked about. Time is the feeling that time is speeding up is just that it's if you
Vibrating
see,
quicker.
yeah, you see the vibration, you think of vibration as this sine wave, and it's getting faster. The intervals are less. And so we're just coming to a bigger apex, if you will, the top of where that's going to peak out. It doesn't mean it's going to go back down, but it just means we're creating a resonance field in the collective that's enough that it's going to imprint the collective reality to change. And so that's where a personal ascension process starts to intersect with a collective process. And right now is very much about the collective process. So a lot of us are tuned into that collective because that's kind of what our role was, to be a field holder so that it could kind of pull that collective field towards that point where it can remember itself. Because at the end of the day, we're all exactly the same. There is no hierarchy of any sort or kind. It's just a process of remembering that. Really, the whole thing is remembering. And when we feel those darker places of dissonance or incoherence, it's just processing them, really, because a lot of that in the 3D was outside of your awareness. And so all that's happening is all that dissonance is just coming into your awareness now. So you can remember, oh, that actually wasn't even true. I was just perceiving it as such. But now that I remember my heart and I remember how energy works and how I am as an energetic being and I can't be harmed and I'm self-sufficient and I create my field of love and share it within myself, then a lot of the wobbliness of the incoherence of feeling incomplete or broken or any of those sort of what we might call anger or fear are just misperceptions of self, really, at the end of the day. And so when we remember the heart, when we remember that mirror of resonance with the divine part of us having the human experience, the fluctuation quiets and it becomes this resonance field of stability and coherence. And so we're just reaching an apex of that in 25 and into 26, or we're going to experience the height of it. Not that it's going to end and go down afterwards, but it's like we're up at a level where it actually can't go back down again because the collective field is going to pin itself in a new place. And then everybody goes from there. So in that way, it's like a time jump. That's why I call it an acceleration of time, because it's almost like if you had a string and it was a line and you put the two pieces together, all of a sudden the reality changes instantaneously. And so there's just more of an upliftment. And anyone that's already in that field will feel it immediately. And those who just haven't remembered yet, because there's nothing bad or wrong about it, are in the process of it, will catch the wave when they catch it, or make other arrangements as their soul made other arrangements, whatever that looks like. If they're not ready, there's no, not a bit of morality about any of it. It's just an energetic experience that we're having. And the collective has decided to move that experience into a different scape of reality that's more based on peace and the heart and the resonance of beings together in harmony rather than dissonance.
Thank you for explaining that. And you guys can read this post that I'm speaking about on Elaine's page. It's beautifully written. She's a beautiful writer. I'm so grateful that you decided, all of three of you, to join me today to explain how frequency and mirroring works and how we as human beings are the tuning forks. We are the crystals. We are remembering that we are the creators of our reality. And it all comes back to our heart and our resonance and what we're vibrating. And none of it means bad or good or wrong or right. We all had agreements before we came to this planet on what our role would be with each other and how we would play with each other and how collectively we would move through the embodiment or the ascension of a planet and her people. Some of us are assisting that have paved the way for others to come through. It doesn't mean that we're better than someone else. It just means that was our role. Everyone has a gift and a unique fractal of source expression here to be a part of this puzzle that we call Gaia and Ascension. I do want to take a moment to allow each one of you to use this platform to share where you're at and what you offer, because there's people that are listening that resonate with what you say and who you are as a being. Again, going back to frequency and vibration and resonance. So, Dawn, I know that you're in the UK, but we are talking now. So, if somebody's listening here in the US, or our friends are listening that would like to connect with Dawn and her gifts as a relationship coach, and from the Heartful Academy, she's always posting about beautiful things about the wild ones and creating courses and classes. So, go ahead and let people know where they can reach you, Dawn.
Yeah, a lot of what I've created is based on a process of how to move from the box around the heart to heartful embodiment. And I call that the Heartful Way, which forms the courses that go into the Heartful Academy. So if you want to find out more about that or coaching with me one-to-one, then just simply Dawn Lucht. You'll find me. There aren't many Dawn Luchts around. So yeah, that's it really.
And then Elaine, my dear sister in Kauai.
Yeah, I also have many courses on the Rose Lineage, Priestess Training, Water Priestess Training, and Ascension Guidance to help you understand yourself as an energetic being and then to translate that into your everyday life. So I am actually having an event on 12/12. If anyone wants to learn more about some of the things that we've been talking about, how to align the field and the body with these new fields that are available and here, and how to ease the body into these new frequencies that are here. So that's on my website, and you can find me or on my Facebook page at elainemarierose.com.
And I know my friend Sarah Remer here in Boise, Idaho, is having a special on some of her artwork. So I'll let her talk about that and how they can reach you, Sarah.
Yeah, so you can find me on Facebook under my name, and I'm on Instagram as well under SR212. But yeah, I also do channeled commissions, or commission work that if you have something in mind, I can do that. And I'm just painting every day. So if you follow me, you'll see a lot of art. This is how I'm not a writer. I always joke with Anna because I hate writing. And Anna's like, come on, just put some pen to paper. And like, it's just so hard for me. And I'm not sure why, but I'll paint every day. And I paint in the way I would write. And yeah, I just love doing commission work. I love connecting with others and sharing my art with all of you. And yeah, thank you so much.
You're so welcome. And it is beautiful to watch. I've been in her home. It's an art gallery. It's a form of meditation for you. There's many ways to meditate, from walking in nature to painting and being creative. And when I ask her to put pen to paper, I want her to ground some of her thoughts so that she can manifest those into the 3D or 4D or wherever she is vibrating at. As you guys know, I'm on a Toothman, and I'm a personal, purposeful coach on your life and more on spiritual and quantum activations. It is my pleasure and my joy to assist humanity as we go through the shifts for 2026 and 27 and 28 and beyond. And so all of us can assist you with any questions. Send me a message, either on email me or message me, and you'll be able to find me. I want to thank you, ladies, for joining me today. Is there anything else you want to add, any of you, to this topic that it went by so fast? Anything you guys want to add? We still have 9 minutes, so let's fill the 9 minutes with something. Go ahead, Sarah.
I want to say one thing. I so enjoyed listening to all of the perspectives today, and it's just so beautiful meeting you ladies. And there's definitely some information that some new information for me that I'm kind of having some aha moments. So thank you so much.
That makes my heart sing. I love it when people have their own remembrance, like, oh, something clicked into place for Sarah. How about you, Dawn? You want to add anything?
I'm a very mental, logical person. I've had to work very diligently on finding a lot more balance with that. So as I'm listening to us talk, if somebody's watching this, please don't get bogged down with all of the concepts and all the things that we're talking about. Like, there's a lot of simplicity in what we're saying. We're just trying to describe it in a way that connects some way, somehow on a frequency. But try not to get too bogged down with mentally what it all means. The answers are in your feeling body, in your emotional body, and start there rather than try to decipher every single thing that we've said.
That's right. Elaine?
Yeah, I think I'll piggyback on that. Ultimately it can be helpful to have a little bit of a frame of understanding to kind of give us a way to journey through what's happening, but the heart resonance and the connection into that emotional space of self is the doorway to enter and access any of these things. And when we find that heart frequency of peace and loving resonance, you're already there, whether you understand it or can explain it or not. So yeah, I think that's what I would leave with is if you're unclear about what's happening to you, or you are unsure, try to find your way back. The quickest doorway back into the heart is gratitude. And so if you can at least find a place of gratitude, that's like the opening frequency into the heart space. And we can always find something to be grateful for. And that will lead you into these places that we're discussing. And it doesn't matter if you know anything beyond that, because that's all that really matters. That's the frequency gateway.
Gratitude, gratefulness. There's so much to be grateful for from this, for this moment that I'm having with all of you and those that are on the live. When we're upset, and I've had this conversation because I shared, I'm kind of all over the place. I can be, but there's heightened solar activity during these specific gateways and going into 12/12 and into the winter solstice, and the sun is blasting out these solar waves filled with God particles, codes that are transmitting frequency to support what we're talking about, more heart coherence. Part of the mentorship that I do and offer is to bring some of this conversation into more layman's terms, kind of not make it so difficult to understand. Vibration means this. If you thug on a guitar, it goes boing, right? So it's vibrating. Frequency is the sound, the wave that's coming off the guitar. So we're doing the same thing in our voice, is producing a vibratory frequency as I speak. And so, not to make it so complicated, I hope we didn't do that for you and those that are listening. Thank you for joining us. I don't know when I'll do another one, but if someone's watching and has a topic that you want to broadcast, just send me a message and we'll do a live together. I love you, ladies. Have a super holiday and happy New Year.
You too, Anna. Thank you so much for inviting us.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for listening and tuning in. Bye-bye.